Svalblood! Svalblood! We summon thy power!
There are many monsters in the Witch universe, from the necrophages, to the draconids, to the relicts, to the vampires. There are just so many classifications of them, and even more individual species. Many of them are deadly, and many of them are simply defensive, but most of them are born the species that they are. However, some become monsters through the hand of magic, and today I want to talk about one of these monsters. This monster belonging to the class Cursed One, and being known as a Berserker, or a Werebear. One of the main reasons I find Berserkers so interesting is because, unlike most other cursed ones, the individuals who seemingly become Berserkers do so by choice. Effectively, they allow a curse to be inflicted upon them. For example, consider Morkvarg, someone afflicted with lycanthropy. He did not become a werewolf by choice, it was a punishment by one of his crewmates for his foul deeds. Of course, his curse had more to it than simply transforming him into a werewolf, but still, in most cases where someone becomes a cursed one and isn't born that way, it is inflicted upon them against their will, hence it being a curse. The way in which someone becomes a werebear appears to be through two methods. The first way we can assume someone becomes a werebear is through inheritance, similar to lycanthropy, so if their parents are werebears. The second is through a ritual we are shown in The Witcher 3. This ritual is performed by some sort of druid, and we see 3 Vildkarls become Berserkers. I'll explain what a Vildkarl is later. The ritual goes as follows. The Vildkarls eat 1 psilocybe mushroom each, and then proceed to sit down. Then, the druid calls out to the god Svalblood, and says, "Svalblood, Svalblood, we summon thy power." All members involved continue kneeling and sway back and forth. Then, 3 bears appear, and eat the 3 Vildkarls alive. After this, it appears the Vildkarls each become a bear. So 3 bears eat 1 Vildkarl each, then each Vildkarl becomes the bear that ate him, effectively taking the bear's body for himself. It's safe to say that the second method is pretty gruesome, and Geralt even remarks that it makes the Trial of the Grasses look like pure pleasure by comparison. However, I would argue the Trial of the Grasses is probably worse based on what we know. I will quickly say that there are probably other methods that can be used to inflict this curse. It's also worth mentioning that before the Berserker ritual, there are actually 6 candidates for becoming a Berserker. These 6 candidates meet at the Ursine Circle, strip down to naught but their trousers, and fight until only 3 remain. These 3 then go on to become Berserkers. The main reason these people decide to become Berserkers is quite simply because they want to be stronger in battle, and it is said in the legends that they hear the call of the bear, and then go to become Berserkers, which might be a reference to Svalblood calling on Skellige warriors to become Berserkers. When someone actually becomes a Berserker, they must leave their families and join a new family, the Vildkarls. So they have to leave their old family behind and basically just cut all ties and fully devote themselves to battle and Svalblood. For this reason, the Vildkarls aren't a clan because they share blood, they are a clan because they all worship Svalblood and they've given up their previous lives. One thing I thought I'd quickly mention is that I imagine some people may argue that the Berserkers are not actual werebears, and instead just people that turn into bears, similar to say if someone turned into a wolf. To that, I would say that I do understand that viewpoint. However, because werebears have only been mentioned once in the Witcher book Season of Storms, and not shown to be different to what Berserkers are in the games, it is easier to just call them werebears for now, and assume that any reference to werebears is probably in reference to them, or at least to something similar similar to what they are. The actual physical appearance of a Berserker is the same in most respects to a normal bear that can be found in the Witcher universe. However, there are two key features that are different. The first is their teeth, and the second is their tongue, as both of these features remain the same size as their human counterparts. Other than these physical differences, the only way in which they differ from normal bears is that they are significantly stronger, and of course have the ability to appear as both human and bear, and therefore fight as both forms. When the Berserkers actually transform into Werebears, it is said they lose all self-control, and only regain their human appearance after their bloodlust has been satiated. This explains why, when the Wildkarl's drinks were spiked, they just killed everyone they could. They couldn't stop themselves if they tried. One thing that I personally had a bit of confusion about was if they needed the mushrooms in order to transform. However, based on what we see in The Witcher 3, I don't think they do. When the Berserkers change in Kiertrolda, it's because the mead was spiked with psilocybe mushrooms and human blood. It's not because they actually wanted to transform. We find this out should we follow Hjalmar or Ceres, although on Hjalmar's we actually get confirmation that the Berserkers were not there to kill anyone, although they didn't regret the fact that they did. We also find out, should we choose to follow Hjalmar on the quest known as King's Gambit, that the Berserkers can seemingly transform at will, and we find this out through a fight with a Berserker who transforms halfway through. Earlier in the video, I did actually mention the name of a god briefly, and I do plan to make a video on him in the future, but I would like to quickly talk about Svalblod as he is so significant to the Berserkers. Svalblod is a deity who was originally worshipped more openly in Skellige. However, the followers of Svalblod drowned the Isles in blood, went on various massacres, and actually caused a short civil war. And the reason they drowned the Skelligen Isles in blood is because Svalblod demanded human sacrifices. This led to the worship of Svalblod becoming forbidden and confined mostly to the small village of Fornhalla, where he was worshipped by the Wildkarls in secret. In the southwest of Skellige, on a small isle, there is also what appears to be a burial for a Berserker. There is no information on this burial, and I suppose it's meant to be more of an Easter egg, but perhaps this suggests that there are more worshippers of Svalblod than just the Wildkarls still to be found in Skellige. In fact, this may have been confirmed through something that was revealed to us in Gwent during the Crimson Curse event. It was said that during the Crimson Curse, Svalblod fanatics emerged from hiding, suggesting that there may actually be more Berserkers than just the Wildkarls. I do actually remember Hjalmar saying that the priests of Svalblod were tied to longships and pushed out to sea, so perhaps some of these priests were rescued or survived by themselves somehow, and then they may have continued this cult on the smaller, less inhabited islands of Skellige, but we don't really know how they survived. I think the most likely option is that they simply went into hiding. There's actually one more Easter egg in regards to Berserkers, and this Easter egg is that you used to actually be able to find some Berserkers in the Kaer Morhen Valley. I believe this was simply a mistake by CD Projekt Red, because from what I can see now, they appear to just be normal bears, which is something I imagine they fixed in a patch. So I suppose it's more of a mistake, and not really an Easter egg, as having Berserkers or Werebears in the Kaer Morhen Valley would be a little bit weird. Anyway guys, that's it for today's Witcher lore video, and I hope you've all enjoyed. As I said at the start of the video, I think that the Berserkers or Werebears are a very interesting monster in the Witcher universe, not only because they can turn into bears, but also because of how much history surrounds them. But yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed. Be sure to like today's video to let me know you support these sort of videos, want more, and just to help me out, so thank you to all of you that do that. Also be sure to subscribe if you're new, as I make Witcher videos every week, and if you subscribe you won't miss them. I do have a question for you this week, and this question is simply, what is your favourite Witcher monster? For me, I'd say I really like higher vampires and Leshens, but of course I love many other monsters, so it's quite a difficult thing for me to choose, but I would really like you guys to tell me what you like the most, as it's interesting for me to see which monsters people generally seem to go for in the Witcher universe. Also remember to follow me on Twitter, and as always, a big thank you to the Patreon pledges. You guys are honestly just so awesome, and thank you all so much. I really appreciate your continued support, and I just want to say thank you again. It's really kind what you do. Also, of course, thanks to everyone who likes, comments, and subscribes, as that's also just a kind thing to do, so thank you to all of you that support me and do that. But anyway, that's it for today's video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Have an awesome rest of the week.